Hey there, welcome back to the channel. In today's video interview or podcast interview, if you're listening to this on the podcast, I am coming to you from Koh Samui with Vickie. Vickie is a digital nomad. She's been living and working from her sailboat for the past 9 months, and she's currently traveling in the Caribbean. So let's welcome Vickie to the podcast. Welcome, Vickie.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Sure thing. Thanks for being on the show. And so where are you coming to? Where are you coming to us from now?
Yeah, I'm currently in Martinique, which is a beautiful French island located in between Dominica and St. Lucia.
Wow. And you're on the sailboat right now. You pretty much
Yeah,
spend most of your time on a sailboat.
100%, 100%. Actually, just sailed the day before yesterday. We sailed from the north of Martinique to more kind of central, close to the capital, close to Fort-de-France. And on Friday, we have a beautiful weather window. So on Friday, we'll be sailing to St. Lucia. We're starting to sail back south.
Incredible. I've just seen pictures of St. Lucia. It looks absolutely beautiful. And it's very inspiring what you're doing.
Well, thank you.
So
Thank you so much.
yeah. Tell me a little bit more. I'm kind of interested in what type of sailboat you're on. Like, did you build this yourself, or did you buy it, or and how is the maintenance and upkeep on it, maintaining a
Yeah.
sailboat, those
Oh my
types of
God.
things?
First of all, maintenance and upkeep on any kind of boat is going to be a lot of your time and money. All right. Cruising, life on a boat is just fixing your boat in exotic places. That's what cruising is. And
Uh-huh.
everything on your boat is broken. You just don't know it yet. So that's just the baseline. Let's start with that. I'm very lucky because I have a 30 feet mono hull. So a mono hull has only one hull, whereas a catamaran or a trimaran has several. And she is made of steel, which is great because for beginners in sailing, it's very forgiving. You can bump into another boat, into a coral, into a dock, and the dock will have the damage, not your boat, right? That's the beauty of
That's
steel
good.
instead
Mm-hmm.
of fiberglass. However, steel in salt water is a lot of maintenance, as you were saying. So I'm constantly having to treat some rust stains and repaint and sand everywhere. But she's a beauty. Her name is Yellowbird.
Yellow Bird. I
Yeah,
like the
and
name.
she is bright yellow. So if you go check out my Instagram, you'll see bright yellow sailboat and beautiful turquoise waters.
Awesome. We'll get your Instagram at the end of the show, so where people can check you out online. So let me ask, like, what inspired you to just hop on a sailboat and take off for 9 months on the Caribbean?
Yeah. So about 4 years ago, I went on a chartered trip to the Bahamas, a vacation, right? So a charter is
Mm-hmm.
when you rent a boat for a certain period of time with the skipper, which is a vacation that I highly suggest to anybody who's curious about the sailing lifestyle. And I just remember this moment where we were in the Bahamas and we went spearfishing and we caught our own fish with like a Hawaiian sling, and then the captain of the boat showed us how to fillet the fish, how to to cut the fish to use the meat inside. And then someone on the boat had worked at a sushi restaurant before, and we made fresh sushi out of the fish we just
Oh.
caught. And that was the moment when my brain was like, "Oh my God,
Uh-huh.
this is life. Like I want to live my life this way. I want to fish my own food. I want to live sustainably. How can I make this possible?" And then went on a journey to learn everything I could about diesel mechanic, electricity for boats, navigation on maps, meteorology, and proceeded to learn all of this and purchase Yellowbird over a year ago now. We bought her April 1st, 2022.
Wow. And the rest is history.
And the rest is history. Now I've been cruising and we have no plan of stopping anytime soon. We're going to take a quick break over the summer because summer is hurricane season. And that's kind of,
Yeah. This is
that's,
something I'd like to get into a little bit as well, because that's the thing that would terrify me, being out on a sailboat, especially in a place like the Caribbean where we have a lot of hurricanes, natural disasters, those sorts of things.
Yeah, so you have to get
So
below hurricane line or
mhm.
above to get your boat protected for that period. So a lot of people stay on their boat, but our personal choices, because we have a steel boat and it's a lot of maintenance anyways, we're going to haul out um, end of May. We're going to haul out in Trinidad and Tobago below the hurricane line and fly back to Canada, spend the 3 months of the summer, see our friends and family, and then fly back to the boat and start all over again.
Okay. So you're originally from Canada?
Yeah, that's
Or
correct.
is that
Quebec.
okay. Oh, Quebec, the French-speaking side. I've
Exactly.
only been up to I went through Calgary to get to Banff National Park, drove all the way up from Texas where I lived for many years, and then over to Vancouver, spent some time on Vancouver Island, and then made my way back down through Washington.
That's one hell of a long drive.
Yeah, and I chose to go in the winter when it was negative 40 degrees, which was poor planning, but
Yeah,
still
yeah.
amazing.
Beautiful. Oh yeah, love Banff, love Vancouver. Vancouver is actually one of my favorite places in the world, I think still to
Hmm
this
hmm
day.
It's
Yeah.
a pretty. I mean, I wasn't there very long, but I liked Vancouver Island, and
Mm,
yeah. So you're gonna go back to Canada for a bit to see friends and family, just to wait for the hurricane season to pass, right? And
exactly.
then get back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, for another season, new countries to discover, new
Hmm
adventures.
Does it get? I mean, I would imagine it gets pretty tiring on the boat. You're kind of in a small space. So how do you deal with that sort of thing?
It
Do you get
is.
lonely or?
Yeah, definitely do not get lonely.
Mhm.
The cruising community is amazing. We've made so many friends. There's even we just got our flag. That's why I have it right here. But there's even the Young Cruisers
Ah.
Association,
Oh, wow. Huh.
which is their motto is that sailing is life, not the retirement. So it's a community for anyone who is a digital nomad, anyone who decided to jump into the sailing lifestyle but not do it at 55 when they're retired. And I mean, that's something that like
Mhm.
10 years ago, there were no young cruisers on the ocean in the Caribbean. It was all people enjoying their retirement. So whenever we meet with someone of the same species, someone of the same kind, we are instant friends, you know? So no, we're
Sure.
definitely not lonely. It's actually the opposite. My partner and I, we've had moments where we needed to like put very strict boundaries because we were partying all the time and with people all the time and needed to focus back on our health and on work. So that's for the
Mm,
social part. For the small space part, in terms of living and working, it gets intense. But
I can
the
imagine.
reality is that your background, not your background, sorry, your backyard is the ocean. Every morning I get up, I take 5 steps, climb out of my cockpit, and I swim in open ocean. So I never feel trapped in a small
Wow.
box. I'm always in nature, turquoise water. I'm fishing, I'm swimming, I swim up to the beach. We go on hikes. We have to be in this lifestyle. You have to be very connected to nature because you're dependent on the tide, on the winds is going to change how your boat is anchored. It's going to change which anchor you're going to this weekend, if the weather is with you or not. So we're very connected to outside and outdoors.
So you're one with nature. You're living in it every day, and you obviously have to stay very active. You don't want to just be sedentary on the boat, right? And you're surrounded by water, so you can go for a swim anytime you want. Or stand up
Exactly.
paddleboard. Do you have like a stand up paddleboard on there too?
No, a lot of our friends do, but we don't have that. We have a dinghy, which is like a small Zodiac,
Mm.
a small floating boat with a smaller motor that we use when we want to go visit friends or when we want to go to land. At one point,
Hmm
the motor on the dinghy was broken, so we would paddle standing up. Does that count?
Sure, that still counts. Where I live in Thailand, I live in the island of Koh Samui, and I've been out on a sailboat a few times just to get my sea legs, a little bit,
Yep, yep.
and learn how to control I forget what it's called, the mast, essentially.
Well, the
Uh,
sails.
The sails, yeah, yeah. So I had an instructor. I went out there a few times, and it was a lot of fun, but mostly just around Samui. We're also near another island called Kopangan. So I don't know
Mm.
if you've ever been to Thailand, but it's like, 45 minutes by speedboat from here. So you could potentially just go sailing over to Kopangan, but haven't done that yet.
Yeah, for sure. It
But
looks
yeah.
beautiful. I haven't been to Thailand. My partner's been,
Mm-hmm.
and he's been to Vietnam as well, and a lot of that area. But
Yeah.
I don't think
It's
we want
incredible.
to sail in that area because we're hearing a lot of pirate stories. So it's
Really?
not, yeah, and
Huh.
interestingly enough, so it's not in our like immediate choices.
I can
But
see why. I didn't
right?
even know about that.
Yeah, pirates is not the thing that I'm attracted to the most when it comes to sailing.
Of course not. Why would you be? Mhm. They
Mm.
could commandeer your boat, right? They could just basically take it over
Yeah, we
if they
had some
really wanted
friends,
to.
who are in Panama at the moment. Well, friends, we've never met them personally, but they're young cruisers. They're part of the young cruisers community, so we're all
Mhm.
connected. And about 2 weeks ago in Panama, on the Pacific side, though, not on the Atlantic side, 4 people armed came on their boat,
Oh,
stole all of their
no.
electronics, their money, their passports, and their puppy
What?
dog.
Oh,
And then
that's
they
the
left,
lowest of the low.
right? Mm,
Hmm. Yeah, that's too bad.
I
I didn't
know.
even know. I'd never even heard stories of pirates on the sea in Southeast Asia. It's the first I'm hearing about it.
Yeah.
Um, But one of the really nice things about where I live in Thailand in Koh Samui is that we're in the protected bay of Thailand, Gulf of Thailand, I should say. So we don't get ravaged by natural disasters, unlike on the Andaman side, like
Yeah.
Phuket. So
Yeah.
they get hit by a lot of tsunamis, but we're protected. So
Mm.
very safe place to be, which is one of the reasons I like it here. Um, but
Mm.
yeah, let's go back into a little bit more about. Well, one thing we could talk about is like, what's it like living on a sailboat with your partner, right? Being in a relationship on a sailboat.
Mhm.
Do you find it's hard to? You don't have a lot of space, that sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Oh, it took a really big adjustment. If I could give any like advice to people who are starting the RV life or starting to live in a tiny house with their partner, get really good noise canceling headphones.
Ah,
Um, so yeah,
that's the
get good
key.
headphones. That's a really important one. Aside from that, like you have to be very good communicators and you have to be very honest with yourself about what you need and when you need it. So we have our little routines. My partner is not a big fan of movies. I love movies. So I know that that's one place I can kind of escape to. I can go in the main cabin in our bedroom, set myself up with some pillows and watch a movie for 2, 3 hours and just kind of have my own space. Of
Mm-hmm,
course,
mm-hmm.
the dinghy also is great, right? Having a little dinghy, we can like spend time apart. We also had a couple of like girls' night, boys' nights when we meet other boats, right? All the girls will go on one boat, all the boys will go on one boat so that we can complain about our partners a little bit, vent.
Oh, that's
Um,
pretty neat.
so that's really good. But what's beautiful is that no matter the no matter the roller coasters of how you feel in your relationship, when you're on a boat, you have to be a good team. You have to be good teammates and you have to trust one another because we make some, life life and death decisions. Sometimes we're on the boat, the motor is dead, we have a sail is broken and you don't even know how you're going to make it out of this or if you're going to make it out of this, right? Out of this
Oh
alive.
no,
um
scary.
yeah, there's scary moments. There's super scary moments. So I think what's beautiful about my relationship is that we were able to get through this year being an amazing team. And I think that's really, really beautiful.
Teamwork makes the dream work, as they say.
Hell yes. Hell yes, it does.
I live in kind of a small house here with my girlfriend, and we like watching movies and then that sort of thing. There's one that we watched recently is called True Spirit.
Yeah, it's with Jessica
which she may have seen.
Watson.
Yeah, I had forgotten her name, but I know she's a famous sailor from Australia. She circumnavigated, for the audience that's not familiar, circumnavigated the entire world on
Yeah,
her
and
little sailboat.
non-assisted. She's the youngest person to have circumnavigated the world unassisted, and she's a woman. So that makes her I haven't seen the movie actually. I just know
Oh, it's a
of
great movie.
Jessica. It's good? Is it worth
Hmm.
watching? Yeah.
Definitely
Okay.
worth watching. I don't know if you get Netflix out there on the open water,
Yeah.
but yeah,
100%.
uh-huh. That's a
Internet
good
is
one.
really good actually for like if you want to jump into the internet question,
Yeah, I'm
but
kind of surprised how it's
good.
not choppy or anything.
No, not at all, not at all. So first of all, right now there's Starlink for boats that just came out.
Oh,
Um,
Elon Musk's Starlink.
yeah, Elon Musk
Oh,
Starlink.
oh, cool, cool.
Starlink for boats is still pretty big, not gonna lie. So you
Hmm.
need to have a pretty big vessel to have that on. So we don't have that. A
Oh,
lot of our
okay.
friends have Starlink just for RVs because it works up to 15, 20 miles from the coast. So
Hmm.
that's a really good option. And then there's also, if you're staying around the States, there's Google Fi that works really well. The Google phones, right, that will work in many, many places in the world. And then what we do is that we have a Digicel SIM card, a Digicel Caribbean SIM
Oh,
card, which is from Martinique. We got it, I think, in December or January, but it works with roaming data everywhere in the
aha.
Caribbean. So from
Amazing.
Antigua,
No
Barbuda,
dead zones.
no, all the way to Grenada. I mean, in between islands, like we lose it at some point, right? When we're out in the open sea. But as long
Hmm.
as we're coastal, we have this, like right now, I'm in the middle of a bay in the water and my internet is absolutely great. Mm.
Wow. Yeah, that's very good. And do you have a hotspot on there too? So if you can just on your phone, you can connect to the hotspot.
Yeah, exactly. I'm hotspotting my computer right now.
Oh,
Super simple. So
easy
both
peasy.
the easy peasy, we have 240 gigs every month.
Excellent. Yeah, that's plenty. That's really probably more than you need, unless you're watching movies all the time.
Exactly.
Something bandwidth intensive. Uh-huh.
Mm.
There's so yeah, tell me a little bit more about like what it's like working from a sailboat and that sort of thing. Like
Yeah.
what sort of clients are you working with? I know you work with Lori, who I've also previously interviewed on my channel at Zennial Traveler. So do you just do Skype calls from the boat or like how does that all work?
Yeah.
What client calls?
I have 4 different streams of income at the moment.
Great.
So I have my own networking app for entrepreneurs that is for francophone entrepreneurs.
What is
Um,
Francophone?
for people who speak French, francophones,
Oh, okay. Okay, okay.
people who have French as a first language, because French is my first language. If you did not know, fun fact.
Didn't know that.
so, so I have
Well,
that.
you're
That's
from
one of
Quebec, so that makes sense.
exactly, exactly. So that's one of my streams of income, and that's great because basically I have some facilitators who host networking events as part of the app, and then I host maybe I think 3 events per week. So those will be like Zoom events with a certain amount of participants where I will be on Zoom, and then I have a great partnership with a wellness app. So it's another wellness app in Quebec where they release live workouts with coaches, nutritionists, like nutrition plans,
Mhm.
self massage videos. And then I kind of make videos about how to train your mind, right? How to get a better emotional fitness. That's kind of the idea. So, one of the coaches on that app, which is great because whenever I have a good background, a slow day, I just set up my tripod, I film the videos, I edit them, I send it to them, and then they release it weekly on the app. So that's great because it's really adaptable to the sailing life. I work
Sure.
part-time for my partner who is a language coach. So my partner speaks like 10 languages. He's just
Wow.
incredible when it comes to that. Um, So
What
I
is
help
that
him.
called where you speak a lot of different autodidact or po
Polyglots.
oh, polyglot, that's right.
Yeah.
That's always been amazing for me because I can barely learn Spanish, let alone Thai. I mean,
How's your
I
Thai? Yeah.
awful. I really need to take an actual, like, sit down, go to a language school and learn. My partner is Thai. She's native speaker, but she also speaks really good English, so we just speak English all the time. So
Oh.
her English is always getting better, and my Thai is suffering.
Well, yeah, I mean, after 3 years, if
But
you know you're not coming back, it would be time.
yeah, of course. And there's a language school right down the road. I need to just commit and make it happen.
I'll follow up
But
in a week.
oh yeah, I'll probably be at the same point I was. But Thai is a very difficult language to learn. As you can imagine, they've got like 46 vowels.
Yeah.
Uh, Even just writing the language looks like an alien language to me. Um, so yeah, but it's a good point. If I'm not going to be going back to the US anytime soon, I need to at least speak just the basics, be it
Yeah.
conversational.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. And I mean, I remember my partner lived in South Korea for 3 years.
Uh-huh.
So that's where we started our digital nomad journey. We worked in South Korea
Oh,
for
wow.
a little bit over a month. And on the like 3, 4 months before our trip to South Korea, I remember him telling me, like, Vickie, every word that you learn will improve your quality of life there. And I was
Hmm.
so thankful that I learned basic conversation in Korean because when we got there, he met his friend and started speaking super fast, fluent Korean. And I was just there like,
Yeah,
hi.
what is going on?
So at least I could pick up some word like, oh, that was food. They're talking about Korean food, and oh, that was mountain. Maybe we're gonna go hiking tomorrow. And I would just like follow the
Mm.
conversation and remember those little words. So yeah, and I mean, I learned to read as well, Korean, read and write. So when we were in the metro, I could read the name of the stations. I could read, oh, that's a grocery store. I could read. So that was really, really helpful. Made me feel a lot safer there too.
Because you can't just be walking around with Google Lens all the time, pointing at things and like, oh, okay, that's
It
not
would not be fun.
sustainable.
It's not
Hmm.
sustainable. Exactly. That's where all my internet would have gone, and I needed my internet to work. So
Sure, sure. I know, I have retired friends over here who've been living in Thailand for 20 plus years, and they still don't
mm,
speak a lick of Thai.
yeah.
So that's a little embarrassing
Yeah,
at,
well,
at,
that I
at
think
that
that's what
point.
was fascinating too. Same in Korea. Like my partner introduced me to some of his friends who've been living there for 5 years, and I spoke more Korean than them, and I had
Mm.
been in Korea for a week.
And then you could pat yourself on the back at that point.
It's
Like,
like, "Ah,
okay,
you
I'm
guys sounded
doing well.
good." But no, he gets all the credit. I would not have learned a single word if it wasn't for him kicking my ass. So, thank you. Thank you,
Yeah,
Ben.
yeah. Where
But,
is he now?
oh,
He's
sorry, go ahead.
still on the boat?
Yeah, right now he's on the boat.
Yeah,
He's
okay.
probably trying to sleep, and I'm probably being very loud, which is a typical pattern for us. But I was gonna say another thing we did for work on the boat is that we condense all of our video calls
Mhm.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then
Okay.
Mondays and Fridays is where we'll do either content creation, we'll do, any work that can be done offline, email, so maybe a little bit work online, but nothing like video. And
Uh-huh.
then also when any like boat problem arises, so diesel mechanic will happen on Mondays and Fridays, laundry will happen on Mondays and Fridays, groceries, provisioning, anything related to that. So that's great. We still have a 5-day work week, but we have a condensed kind of 3-day video, Zoom interviews, podcasts, stuff like that, and then keep those 2 days out. So that works
So
really, really well for us.
you're not on the 4-hour work week yet, regimen
No,
plan.
not yet. It's happening though. It's
Me neither.
happening.
Yeah, sure. It just seems like it would get quite boring after a while if you're not working on creative projects, right? This is
Yeah,
one thing I have to do too, just to stay motivated every day.
yeah.
Keep working
And
on new things.
neuroscience shows that people who retire younger actually die younger.
Huh? Really? Wonder why that
Yeah,
would be. Because they're just not using their brain as much, probably. It's
exactly.
going to
So
waste.
Your body's like, ah, why would I keep you alive? You you don't use me anymore.
That's sad. My dad is he's over 65 now, and I'm still trying to convince him to retire, just stop waiting on the 50 extra bucks a month pension or whatever they have over there and just be finished. But a lot of people nowadays, they'll just work till they die. It's very sad.
Yeah.
But I often say you can lead a horse to water, but good luck making it drink.
That's a good that's a good image. That's a good image.
hmm So, do you have? I mean, we were talking about scheduling, right? So, do you have like a daily morning routine? I know this is a lot of entrepreneurs preach the benefits of having a routine every day that you get into. Do you have something like that? That you do?
Yeah. Yeah, I used to be so strict about morning routines back when I lived in Montreal, and, in the end, it just comes down to in the morning, you wanna set your intentions for the day, and you wanna take
hmm
some time for yourself. You wanna start your day right, whatever that means to you. So I kinda removed all of those obligations or routines that I had. One thing that I do, I would say 98% of my mornings is just jump in the water. There's nothing that will wake you up more
Oh,
than
sure,
jumping in cold water.
of course. Just like
Um,
taking a cold shower, but you're
More
immersed in it.
immersive. Exactly.
hmm
So that's a beautiful way, and then just getting some sun exposure too, that will combine those 2 things, and then you're fully woken up. Definitely lots of hydration, and then I'm probably gonna open my agenda, look what I have planned for the day, write some affirmations or, write some intentions for my day. Um, and then usually in the morning, I'll take some time to read. I like to have a slow morning so that, when I get to my first call, I usually don't take any calls before 9 a.m. and I get up around 7. So it kind of gives me a 2 hours to myself where I can do whatever I'm feeling like doing that morning. And then at 9, I'll start my day, answer my emails, da 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 da, and then the day starts going.
Do you do meditation in the morning too, or you just jump straight into water?
I used to meditate. I don't meditate anymore. My
Uh-huh.
partner still meditates for almost an hour every
Oh,
day.
wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that's intense.
it's very, very dedicated. No, I don't really do that. One thing I do though is that I close all electronics whenever I eat. So I will never be watching a call while I'm eating or scrolling Instagram while I'm eating. If I'm eating, I'm gonna close everything and just really focus on my meal. So that's
Mhm.
like a very mindful moment. And then of course my
Yeah.
morning swim and sunbathing is kind of my mindfulness as well. I don't really feel the need to meditate it, the like sit down and take deep breaths kind of way.
In Buddhism, they say, you can meditate doing it doesn't matter what the activity is, and eating is one of those, right? So,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
I also don't have a meditation practice. It's something I've
no.
tried previously, but my mind wanders, and then I'm like, "Oh, okay, I should do," and then I think of all the other distractions.
So
So,
what do you like to
sometimes
do in the morning?
oh, well, obviously, like in the morning, I'll always check my phone, which is not a good habit. I should probably get out of that. But I do it every day. Kind of addicted to my phone, for better or worse.
Mm,
It's something I need to work on. But anyway, and then usually I'll, get in the shower, go for like a short jog. I'll usually go for a jog in the morning and to get the blood flowing, And I also usually there's a gym on a fishing island here that I like to go to. So they have all the equipment. It's got I'll go for a walk on a beach on the weekdays, go to this gym, and then start my calls or whatever I'm
mm.
doing for the day.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, the phone
low
thing
stress.
is one piece of advice that really helped me was just do one thing
Mhm.
before opening your phone every day. Like just accomplish one thing, whatever that is for you. It could be do your morning walk before opening your phone or having your breakfast before opening your phone or
Instead of
Make
just reaching
making
straight for
love.
it.
Yeah, making
Uh-huh.
love before you open your phone. It doesn't matter what it is, but just do one thing before you open your phone every day, and it really, really helps because it kinda reduce that expectation of yourself of like, "Oh my god, don't touch your phone until 9 a.m." Like, that's not always
Sure.
possible. Sometimes we're curious, sometimes we wanna check something or, w
Mhm.
"Oh, did I write this meeting in my agenda?" Or, you know?
But
So,
then
just do one thing.
instead we yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, exactly. Even if it's just taking a shower, right? Instead of going straight for the phone in the morning.
Yeah,
And maybe use an actual alarm clock instead of the alarm on your phone, so you don't, just reach for it right away.
that helps. That helps. I just wake up with the sun. I don't use alarms anymore.
Uh-huh.
Um, but yeah, using an alarm clock sounds like a good idea, actually. Sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, yeah, great. So, what else can we talk about? I mean, this is fully unscripted interview, so I don't have any notes or anything. Uh, this is the way I prefer to do the interviews. And so just tell me a little bit more about like what are your plans? I guess what are your plans moving forward?
Mhm. Yeah, okay, amazing. So as I said, this summer I'm going back to Canada. I'm actually gonna have a one of my dream jobs this summer, that just kind of fell in my lap. I'm gonna be managing a ranch.
Hmm.
So I used to work in that. It's a sleepaway camp that has about 50 horses, a team of 40 employees whatsoever. I mean, like 4 or 5 coordinators, and then 30
Oh.
counselors, and then over 170 children sleeping there every week.
Oh, so is
And
this like a equine therapy?
it's not
Like that?
therapy so much as like just horseback riding lessons.
Okay. Okay.
And there's a zip line, there's rafting, there's archery, canoes, rock climbing.
Amazing.
So a lot of
It sounds like
outdoor
a
activities.
fun place for kids to hang out.
It is. It really is. So I'm going to be managing that camp this summer, which is going to be a lot of fun, and it's great for digital nomads. When you go back to your home, you no longer have a home. I sold all of my belongings, my apartment, my car. So um,
It's a huge weight off your chest, right? You feel like, all these material possessions are gone.
100%, 100%. But
Mhm.
yeah, going back to
Nothing tying you
Canada
down.
needed a place to stay. So that's great because they offer accommodation for both my partner and I, accommodation and food
Uh-huh.
for the summer, plus a rental car for us to drive around. So that's going to be the summer.
Wow.
Coming back September on the sailboat. We have a couple things to fix. We had a pretty rough season in terms of things to repair. So a lot is going to happen this fall, and then we want to do one more season on the Caribbean, and then we're probably thinking of selling this boat and buying a new one on the Mediterranean. I think that's
Oh,
that's our
right over
current
by
plan.
Greece?
Yeah, Greece, Italy. Um, we'd like to sail in that area. We also really like Turkey. Apparently, is a beautiful sailing destination.
I would think also the Philippines. There's 7,000 islands or more in the Philippines. Of course, one thing you have to worry about over there is the storms. They
Yeah.
get a lot of tsunamis and that sort of thing, but it looks incredible. This
Oh,
is
it
one
looks
place that
gorgeous.
I've been wanting to go for quite some time, and but now I kind of have a home base for better or worse in Samui. Of course, I can
Mm,
always travel around from here, but I'm looking to get my income streams more profitable first, including the
mm.
Facebook group, which is one thing I'm working on with Vickie. Not
Yeah,
Vickie, Lori.
Lori.
Uh-huh.
She's great. Lori's an artist for anybody who wants to work remote for themselves though. Not She's not a resource when it comes to finding remote jobs, but when it comes to
Uh-huh.
building your own remote business, Lori is just so resourceful. I mean, she's done this
Yeah, I'll say.
5 times by now.
I'm still getting to know her. We just had a call last night. She shared a lot of very helpful information about how to actually start monetizing this group, starting to get paying clients. which is something I've been struggling with for years. So now that she's a moderator in the group, I think it's taken off now, partly because of her, I think.
It
So
will. It
yeah.
will. I know she's great. She's really great. I've been working for her for 13 months now, a little bit over a year. Oh no, more than that, 14 months. Yeah, a year and 2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been
Great.
a long time. And she
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah, she's really good communicator. She really takes the time to listen and understand the people she works with. And I'm really grateful to have met her and to work with her.
Yeah, likewise. And
Yeah.
I've also interviewed her on the channel and podcast. It's a good interview as well.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what else can we talk about? Let's see. How does it feel like not having a home base?
Well, I
So you
have a
say you
home
just sold
base.
everything. Well, your
I
home
mean,
base is your sailboat, right?
yes, and that's something people forget a lot of the time
Mhm.
is that the beauty of sailing is that I'm traveling. I'm traveling from countries to countries, but my home is always with me. I always sleep in the same bed at night. I go
True.
on like crazy adventures. I've seen 10 Caribbean islands in the last 12 months, but
Wow.
always sleeping in my bed at night.
Mhm. That is your home base. It's
Isn't
just
it
on the
crazy?
water floating.
It's just on, which is why it gets really stressful when things are broken because you could lose everything in just a heartbeat,
Has
right?
the
This
boat
is
ever capsized?
no, 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 no,
Okay, good. Yeah,
no, hell no.
that's the thing that would scare me.
Yeah, no, it's never capsized. Of course, you get on certain angles sometimes when you get lots of wind, but it's never capsized. We had some moments where we were wondering where we were going to end up. Um, we had a moment this December where we were stuck in Grenada for 6 weeks and our engine wasn't starting and we couldn't find a mechanic to help us with it. We tried two different mechanics. They couldn't figure out what was wrong. We did a compression test
Oh,
on the engine. We didn't have enough compression to get it started. So anyway, we took the really reckless, not very smart. I'm going to be honest, not very smart decision of sailing north without an engine.
without an engine. Okay, so you're just using the
The sails,
the sails.
yeah, yeah. So we were out at
Hmm.
sea for 3 nights and 4 days. So that's 3 nights and 4 days without really any sleep. We didn't have enough batteries because that's another interesting thing actually about boat life is everything related to water and electricity consumption. So I have 3 solar panels that are giving me all the power. Um, but usually on top of the solar panels, my engine is connected to my batteries. So if I don't have enough sun, if it's raining, I can always start my engine and it will fill up my
Mhm.
batteries that I can use to charge my phone, charge my computer, my sailing instruments, my VHF radio, my fridge, all of that, right?
So it's kind of
Um,
like a hybrid sailboat,
yeah,
essentially.
exactly, exactly. But then the motor wouldn't start for over 6 weeks. So all we had was our solar panels to rely on. So we were
Oh
at
no.
sea for those three nights and 4 days without sleeping because there was no way to put on the autopilot because we didn't have enough power to put on the autopilot. And I mean, even if there's an autopilot, one of us needs to stay out there anyway to check around to make sure we're not bumping into another boat or something like that.
Sure.
So
Makes
we were
sense.
exhausted, right? We're exhausted at this point. Terrible condition, 2.5 meter waves, about 25 knots of
Ooh.
wind. So that's like 50-kilometer wind in your face. Um,
Ooh.
the sheets,
Scary.
so the ropes that tie up to the front sail torn apart. So there were no more way to control the front sail. It was a mess. And the sun rises and our solar panels stopped working. Something disconnected under in the electricity room. So
Oh
nothing is
no.
charging
Worst case
anymore.
scenario.
Worst case scenario, no more sailing instruments, no more GPS, no more chart plotter,
Uh-oh.
nothing. So at this point, we're on paper maps trying to figure out. We had something still giving us our position. We had like a small Garmin that was sending our position to our friends and family. So we had our like latitude and longitudes, right? So we
That's
looked at
good at
that
least.
on a paper map,
Right.
figured out where we were, and then calculated with like our estimate direction, the estimate wind and current, where we would end up in, let's say, 10 hours, adjusted our course, and then we tried to get as close as we could to land to be able to call for help. Because that's the thing, like, I could have called for help, but I was so far from land at that point that no one would have heard me.
Yeah, and you can't just call out with your voice. That's not gonna nobody's gonna hear you then.
Oh, no, I mean,
Or
we were
send out a
50.
flare. Do you have flares on the
Yeah,
boat?
yeah, you have flares, which you can use, but flares you're only
Mhm.
supposed to use when, a member of your crew is hurt.
Oh, okay.
In
So
some
it's like
countries, you'll
dire
actually go to
emergency.
prison. Exactly. It's like if I have 2 broken legs, I will shoot a flare.
Ooh.
At this point, like, we still had food on board. None of us, like, my partner and I were not injured. We just needed a towing, right? We didn't need, like, a helicopter rescue. Um,
You say you can go to prison if you shoot a flare without it
yeah,
being
in certain
emergency?
countries, if you shoot a flare and you're not actually dying, you'll go to prison.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
yeah, it's
It seems a
serious.
little bit harsh, but that's how it is.
That's yeah, well, I mean, even for, VHF radio, we have a VHF radio on the boat that you can use, like a very high frequency radio. If you
Uh-huh.
use it without a permit, there's also some countries that's 6 months of prison if you use that and you
Oh
don't have your
god.
license.
Wow, I
Yeah,
had no idea.
you have to you have to be careful. There's lots of laws, so yeah, we got
Mhm.
close enough to land because at that point we were 100-kilometer northwest of the 100-kilometer west of the north of St. Vincent and the Grenadines at that point. So we sailed as close as we could to the islands and then called on the VHF for towing, and then we ended up getting the Coast Guards towed us back to
Whew,
one of the Grenadines, one of
what
the
a
islands in the
relief.
Grenadines. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, I would think I mean, you obviously have to be a really good problem solver to be a sailor as well, right? Because you gotta think of things on the fly quickly in order to avoid dying or, being in a serious accident or getting
yes.
stranded out there.
Yes, you need to have very good nervous system regulation. You need to be good at welcoming the unexpected. You need to be
Probably need
curious.
to have a high EQ, emotional intelligence,
Yes, yes,
not
you need
just
to have high.
IQ, but EQ.
A lot more actually. I think you could be very dumb if you're willing to roll with the punches.
Mhm.
But yeah, curious because the boat will teach you new things and the sea will teach you new things every single day. I think that's what I love the most actually about life on the boat is how it's a life that humbles you. Every day you feel
Mhm.
like you know something, like you figured something out, and the sea's gonna throw something at you and show you that you haven't figured anything out. You don't know shit. You know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
sea will do that to you. Um, which I think is absolutely amazing. But yeah, it's a beautiful universe.
Sure. Something I would love to do more here in Koh Samui because we've got very calm waters. You could just take a sailboat over to Koh Phangan in a day, make a day trip.
Yeah,
So yeah,
try it.
learning how to sail is it's a good, yeah, something to do.
Do
Or just
it.
get a jet ski, go out on a jet ski.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Actually, now that you're saying this, I wonder what the laws would be for like customs and immigration if you just arrived in a new country on a jet ski.
Uh,
I don't
yeah, I don't know
know.
how that worked.
I don't know how that would work
Uh,
because there's definitely a lot of European countries where that would be possible to jet ski over to a
there was
new
here in
land.
Samui, there was a very large yacht. I don't know. I think it was owned by a Russian oligarch or somebody, and he's just sitting out there on the water for months on end. And I don't know why. 'Cause obviously, it's too big to dock.
Yep.
So, and he was outside international or the the laws of the island. I don't know, but that was kind of interesting. Sometimes you see some
Yeah.
really
Well,
big
there's a lot of
boats sitting out in the water.
yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot of places where being in the water is actually free. Like you don't
Huh.
need
That's probably why he was doing it then.
um yeah. Like here in Martinique, when I came in and I did the clearance, I did customs immigration. So they cleared in my boat for customs. They stamped both of my passport. We're Canadian. So we have a 3-month tourist visa, and then that was it. It didn't
That's
cost a
something I was
penny.
gonna ask too, is about the passports. Like, since you're Canadian, do you need to get stamps in the because these are all US?
Well,
What
these
how
are
does
not
that
all
work?
U.S. islands, though.
Oh,
Grenada,
it's
like
not
Trinidad
US.
and Tobago, it's its own country. Grenada is its own
Ah,
country.
okay, yeah.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines is its own country. Martinique is France. Dominica is its own country.
Hmm,
Guadeloupe is France. So they're all their own country. So you need to get a visa every time you get in. But because we're Canadian, we're very
mm,
privileged. We always get a 3-month tourist visa.
great.
So that's perfect for us. And then sometimes we need to pay for a cruising permit. So I think St. Lucia was, it's usually pretty cheap, honestly. I think it was about like $100 for the both of us for 2 months,
Oh, that's not
for
bad at all.
3 months. So it's
Mhm.
pretty inexpensive. And then once you have your cruising permit, you can anchor your boat almost anywhere for free. So you just drop the hook
Wow.
and you can just, my rent is free right now in Martinique. I'm in a beautiful bay surrounded by palm trees. There's Ben and Jerry's at a 10-minute dinghy ride, and my rent
Perfect.
is free. My rent is free. I got electricity from my solar panels. I
All
pay for
sustainable.
my SIM card, and boom, I'm ready to go.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
I'm sure a lot of digital nomads watching this would be, jealous. They'd be like,
Well,
"Oh, but
they can do it
not
too.
easy though, right? It's not easy
No.
to obviously get the sailboat, learn everything you need to do,
I mean,
learn
it's
how to
also not
sail."
easy to stay in a 9 to 5 that makes you unhappy.
True. Also true.
Right? So
Yeah.
it's a matter of choice. It's a matter of choice, and I love this quote from, did you ever read, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck?
I have read that book by Mark Manson. I
Yeah,
think that's
exactly
his
right,
name.
right, so
Mhm.
yep. And what he says is that you need to choose your pain, right? Because everybody wants the same things. Everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to belong. Everybody wants to feel accomplished, yada, yada, yada.
Sure.
But now, what kind
Mhm.
of pain are you willing to go through? That's the question you
Yeah.
need to ask yourself. What kind of pain are you willing to go through? Are you willing, like Mike, to leave your friends and family in the States to move to the other end of the world?
I haven't seen him for over 3 years now. I'm trying to convince them to come over to visit me in paradise, but so far it
Yeah,
hasn't happened.
it will. It
But yeah.
will. So, this is the cost of the choice that you made. Now you're living this amazing life on the beach every day. You feel accomplished, you look happy, and it's the same
Mhm.
for me. Like if you tell me, did I think I was gonna learn to do diesel mechanic in 12 months? Um, I mean, that's not something I necessarily wanted to do. What I wanted to do was to swim in turquoise water every day, eat the fish that I just caught, meet new
Yeah,
people, drink out of
but
coconuts.
just like anything, it's not an overnight success. There's a lot of training and skills that you have to learn along the way.
Exactly. I was patient. It took me 4 years from the day that I said, Mom, Dad, I'm moving on a sailboat to the day I moved on my sailboat. It took 4 years.
What was their
4 years.
reaction to that when you said, "I'm just going on a sailboat and traveling
uh,
around Caribbean"?
my mom didn't believe it until I registered for my first diesel mechanic class. Then she was like, okay, this girl's serious.
Mhm.
My dad was kind of happy, proud. He was okay with it. He came on the boat. He came in
Supportive.
September. Yeah, supportive. He
That's
came
good.
in September for 3 weeks, helped us clean her up, fix a couple of things. My mom came for a week over Christmas, but she stayed on land. She didn't want to stay on the boat. We've had lots of friends and family coming too. So yeah, I would say people were pretty supportive. A lot of people didn't believe me I had some people who wrote to me my first week on the sailboat, actually friends who wrote to me and said, I never believed it was going to happen. I just kind of
Uh-huh.
watched you do all these things and being like, okay, she's a dreamer. And she was like, now I watch you doing it. And I'm like, oh my God, I should have invested in myself too. I should have invested in a dream too. I should have
The
believed it
dream
was
becomes a
possible.
reality.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these people, they always make excuses about, oh, why it's not possible. Oh, I don't have the money. This is one I do a lot. Oh, I don't want to leave my friends and my family behind. What about the time zone difference? And how am I going to talk to clients? Just one excuse after the other, right?
Yeah.
But until you actually do it, just leave your excuses behind. Make it
Well,
happen.
it's a matter of commitment.
The
It's a matter of
commitment, yeah.
commitment. If
Going
you're,
all in. Hmm.
yeah, if you have a kid tomorrow, and I'm sure you have some of your listeners or members of your community who are kids, but who have kids, right? If you have
Yeah.
kids tomorrow, if I have kids tomorrow, and then after 2 weeks they don't walk, am I just going to turn to my partner and say, oh, too bad, we'll just push this one in a wheelchair?
No, absolutely not.
No, because I'm committed to my kids, because I'm committed to offering them the best life. I'm going to find every freaking single specialist on this earth to try to figure out, why is my kid not walking yet? I'm going to buy walking books. I'm going to look at how to teach your kid to walk, YouTube videos. I'm going to call my friends who have babies, right? I'm never going to stop until my kid walks. So that's the same attitude people need to have towards their dream. If you want to have your own goat farm, if you want to have your own podcast, if you want to become a bikini model, like,
Yeah.
have that attitude, be curious, go figure out what you need to figure out. It's out there. There's so much free information out
Sure.
there. So just go and
Everything's
get it.
available online. Just
Yeah.
look up to find anything you want on YouTube or
Yeah,
take a class on Udemy or whatever.
exactly.
Do coaching with Lori or yourself.
Yeah, come and get some coaching.
Uh-huh. So this is one thing I've never had a coach, right? I just figure everything. I have got to figure out everything on my own, which gets tiring after a while. And it's better just to work with somebody who's already been there. They're already successful. Maybe they're making 7 figures a month, whatever it is. Just find somebody that's already doing what you want to be doing and then learn from that person, right?
Yes. Yes, and someone
And
you trust and someone who makes you feel safe. But
mhm.
mentorship, that's actually the first thing I did. The first thing I did when I decided I was going to sail. And at the time I was solo, I didn't have a partner, and I was a girl, right? So the first thing I did was find a solo female sailor. And
Aha.
that's when I started researching solo female sailors. That's when I learned about Jessica Watson. And then I met a Quebec solo female sailor who was living on her sailboat in Puerto Rico. And I messaged her. I took all of my courage and I messaged her on Facebook and I was like, hi, I want to be like you one day.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I asked her if I could ask her a couple questions, and she met with me, and I said, where do I start? What do I need to learn first? And she was like, okay, find a course on this, find a course on that. And she just generously gave me, I don't know, an hour of her time. But not only it's going to give you, finding people who have done what you want to do is going to give you direction, but it's
Mm-hmm.
also going to reinforce the belief that it is possible for you
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
in your brain.
Very true. And that's one of the reasons I started this podcast too, because I want to learn from other, inspiring people such as yourself. And yeah, I look forward to doing more of these interviews.
I'm sure you'll have tons.
Yeah, I think so. So this has been great, and it's good talking to you from your sailboat. And
Thank
I'm
you.
I'm over here in Samui on the other side of the world. So I'm like, it's 10 a.m. here. I think it's what, 11 a.m. where you're at,
It's 11
or 9,
p.m.
11 p.m. That's what I should say. Yeah, 11 p.m. So it just goes to show, like, the time zone difference is not really that big of a deal as long as you're willing to get on the calls. That's it. Just do it.
Exactly. Just do it.
So where could people find more about you online? Like, what's your social media? Do you have a YouTube channel? Those sorts of things.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, but I live on Instagram, so you can definitely find me hanging around there. And then, of course, through the Zennial Traveler membership that Lori talked about in the last episode, I also host amazing networking events once a month. Those networking events are free. So if you are an aspiring digital nomad, if you are just starting a remote-based business, you want to come to those networking events for sure.
Excellent. I think I'm going to be joining one pretty soon, next week, with Lori
Yay!
and yourself.
We'd
Yeah,
love to
looking
have
forward
you.
to it. Excellent. So yeah, thanks so much for being on the podcast/channel. And I wish you best of luck and enjoy time with your family in Canada.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching or listening to another episode of Digital Nomad Ventures. Today I've been interviewing Vickie, and I'm going to try to pronounce her last name, Leuenberger. Am I pronouncing
Perfect.
that correctly? Leuenberger.
Hmm.
She's a digital nomad and living and working remotely from her sailboat in the Caribbean. So if you enjoyed this interview, please subscribe to the channel or the podcast. And with that being said, take care, stay safe. Peace from Thailand.